Oh, how the mighty have fallen. What a bummer. We were looking forward potentially to a dominant Knicks summer run to the Vegas championship. That's not completely off the table. They could still finagle their way into the big picture of things here or there in Las Vegas. I am obviously not in Las Vegas. But the Knicks do lose tonight, 88-77 to the Summer Blazers in a game that started great. Started off 13-0 advantage, just like they did on yesterday, Sunday, or actually no, 2 days ago now because it's Tuesday morning. But after a good first quarter, of course, the NBA had to stick Richard Jefferson into the damn game. Richard freaking Jefferson, friend of the pod, Richard freaking Jefferson. And everything went downhill from there. I don't know if I want to blame RJ for everything because the Knicks just kind of seemed to lose their edge at a certain point. Starting in that second quarter, the two big numbers that stand out for me in this game before we actually talk about the players' performances, which is what really matters. They went 11 for 41 from deep. Knicks had been hitting all their threes really for 2 straight games. They came out, hit some threes right away. And then they just stopped dropping after that. And rebounding, they got killed on the boards, which is why I said that they seemed to lose their edge. The Blazers out-rebounded them 49-30. The Knicks backups in particular got really annihilated. I think I counted before that the Blazers backup guys out-rebounded the Knicks backups 27-5. Not great, Bob. But yeah, it was just, seemed to take their foot off the gas. Seemed to something was not there the same as it was in the first 2 games, and the same as it was in the first quarter. When again they came out looking really good and they took it to the Blazers, forced 7 turnovers and looked like they were on their way to a romp. But such is life, and we move on. It is crazy that even in a meaningless, like the most meaningless of meaningless games, it still sucks to be sitting here talking about a Knicks loss, which I guess is a good thing, to feel feelings. Okay, let's talk about the players of note. We'll start as we have with each of the first 2 games with Quentin Grimes, 24 points for the 3rd consecutive game. I would say, on balance, his least impressive performance. Just didn't have a whole lot didn't have as many plays that popped, I guess, for me tonight as he did in some of the other games. He only had 1 assist. That being said, there were a couple of nice passes that he made, including he rifled a pass to Jericho Sims under the basket at one point in the second half. That was really one of the best passes I think he's thrown overall 3 games, and Sims just couldn't really convert it. So it didn't go down as anything. He also had a couple of nice drives. He had a couple of really nice finishes. The shot has just kind of been off, though. He was 3 of 10 from deep. I'm not worried about that. It's the last thing that I'm going to worry about in terms of Quentin Grimes. But yeah, 24 points again. Still looked the part. I think the offense was best when he was out there running it. That's for sure. And when he was not out there, it showed. So, pretty good overall game from Quentin Grimes, even if it wasn't as good as the first 2. I guess after that we could go, let's keep it the same order as we have the last 2 games. Let's go to Jericho Sims next. He had, I would say, a subdued impact in the second half of this game, especially. I'm pretty sure Sims had 10 rebounds at halftime. He finished with 11 for the game. But there's just some stuff that he does that, you don't usually see from a guy with that sort of build and profile. I know he got called for the double dribble on it, but his crossover and put the ball on the floor and drive to dunk and finish that playoff was just like a thing of beauty. He had at least, he had the Euro step too. How could I forget the Euro step? That actually did count, and I think it was an N1. So, yeah, Sims, and I think, what did he have? He had 4 assists. They were saying it on we'll get to the broadcast in a second. He does show nice touch. So, good game from Sims. And then after that, it gets a little dicey. Farron Hunt had a nice game. Farron Hunt shut me up. I wrote in the newsletter today that Fahrenheit, I thought his ceiling was a little limited because he doesn't make threes. Sure enough, what does Fahrenheit do? Comes out and hits 2 threes in the first quarter. He looks the part. He looks the part of a wing who could maybe see NBA minutes. Finished with 12 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. They said it, when he's in the open court, it's impressive. When he puts the ball on the floor, it's impressive. He had one nice drive where he, the defense was in rotation and he put the ball on the floor and he made the nice dish to Sims. It was the appropriate play. I thought he was really good. Deuce, some nice moments. Some really nice moments. You love him getting on the floor on defense, going after the ball, getting the court burn. Everything about his defense is great. He had a couple of nice drives that he converted. Some nice passes. There are still too many possessions for me where doesn't seem like he is doing anything to initiate the offense in any meaningful way. There was a play. It was actually the play. I think he had the ball right after he had a really nice drive, started from the corner, and he came around a screen and he was met off the screen with whoever the help defender was. And he puts up this fadeaway arching rainbow jumper from 18 feet that I'm not even sure if it hit rim. Am I nitpicking Deuce? Am I hard on Deuce? Am I definitely lower on Deuce than I feel like consensus? Absolutely. All of those things are true. I'll readily admit it. But until he is able to do more with the ball and whether it's some counters with his handle or anything like that, I'm having trouble seeing a role for him other than as an off-ball player. And I think that's fine. He could have potentially, in the right roster complexion, more of a role as an off-ball guy. But as far as a future point guard who could lead an offense and actually get a team going downhill, I don't know. It's still some concerning signs there. And then last, and I guess least, is Trevor Keels. Keels 3 for 10 tonight, 2 of 8 from 3. Had one nice 3 at the end that was, I guess, in the moment, kind of a big shot. Finished with 8 points. I was thinking about it because Benji had a nice thread today, one of the clips he had was of Keels missing a driving layup or something, whatever it was, in the last game, and he just didn't have any elevation. And same thing happened tonight on at least one drive where he just, he doesn't, he could, because of his body and because of his how physical he is, he could get into the teeth of a defense. He could get to the rim. But right now, at least, I think finishing there for him is tough, and the shooting is not really there. It's why I've been saying the last 2 post games, and I'll say again, he is a project. He's a long-term project. He's not a player that the Knicks should expect to get anything from this year. And I thought it was interesting, actually, earlier today that shout out to Fred Katz reported the two-way deal is only a 1-year contract, which is fine. I mean, doesn't mean that they already have lost faith in him or anything, but I found it interesting. That's all. So we'll see what we get from Keels. We'll see what we get from the rest of the team on Thursday when they play their last, regularly scheduled summer league game. And then we will go from there. Shout out to everybody watching right now. It is, again, 1:13 in the morning on Tuesday, and we're sitting here talking about a summer league game that was not particularly fun to watch, and yet Knicks Nation comes out in droves. I think with that, we can get things started with the Super Chat. Of course, Andrew is on the ones and twos behind the scenes. He's going to be putting the Super Chats up. First one, Brian Benjamin. Thank you for contribution, Brian. McBride can't get to the basket. Damn. But that's the frustrating thing is there were a couple times where he did get to the basket tonight. I don't, this is the part that I'm like, what is it? Is that the handle isn't there when someone is right up on him and he he can't figure out how to, or he just doesn't have the versatility with his dribble to get by him. Seems like he has a nice burst, decent first step. I don't know what it is, but or maybe it's a confidence thing. I really don't know. But until he gets that down, I think it's going to be tough for him to carve out a consistent role. Unless he has the luxury of playing with like a jumbo initiator, because the thing is, for as good as he is on defense for his size, he still is a smaller guard. And that's just the reality he's always going to have to deal with. So, yeah, I'm not too down on McBride. Of the three guys that we were really looking at coming into the summer league, he's third for me. Kevin Danishevsky, of course, Kevin would be up still watching. That's why I love you, Kev. Is what it is. Good to see Grimes have another awesome game and completely outduel fellow late 20s Keon Johnson. McBride is who we thought he is. Situational. Yeah, I was on the Keon Johnson train at one point last draft season because I was like, he's a project, he's a long-term guy. You're not going to get anything for a couple of years, but it would show faith in development system that if they took him, I think the shot might be too. Oh, he did a 3 tonight, but like he was at the free throw line at one point and just like it wasn't close. I don't know. The Keon Johnson versus Quentin Grimes thing to me is that's like an organizational philosophy type of thing with which one of those two guys do you pick? And obviously the Knicks picked the guy that they knew would be able to contribute last year and they knew would be able to contribute generally to winning basketball sooner rather than later. And here's Grimes, and it looks like he's going to be able to contribute to winning basketball. Might one of the other guys picked in that range. I mean, Jalen Johnson, we could talk about him. Kai Jones, I think he got like about 100 minutes last year for Charlotte. Like these are upside guys, but like how many of the upside guys hit? 1 out of every 3, 1 out of every 4, 2 out of every 5, like whatever the number is. I'm happy they took Grimes, and I'm glad that they were talking him up tonight on the broadcast. I guess I'll use this opportunity to mention the line of the night from the broadcast. Shout out to Rich McLeod. He actually texted me the exact transcription. I know Knicks fans don't want to hear this, but I feel like they should embrace this young team that they've got here. That was a thing that was actually said. Knicks fans don't want to hear it, but they should embrace the youth. Maybe do your research before you go on a broadcast and say things about what Knicks fans want. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, good game from Grimes. And it was good to see him get his props from the announcing crew, even if the announcing crew had some other missteps elsewhere, shall we say. All right.
Can I add one thing?
Please.
And to be clear, we are referring to the ESPN broadcasting crew that was doing the Summer League game. Nobody else. Whoa. Those were the two people we were referring to. The people doing the game tonight on ESPN2 or on your ESPN, nobody else was being referenced in those comments. Continue, John, with the next super chat.
That's what you think, Andrew. I'm sorry. Lunas, what's going on, Lunas? Emirat. I work at 8, and in my 23 years on Earth, this team has given me zero reason to be up late for a summer league post game. Yet here I am. Cheers to you guys, KFS crew. Thank you, Lunas. Thank you for sticking with us, even though you have to get up in 6 hours and 40 some odd minutes right now. Listen, that's what naps are for, right? I didn't nap for quite as long as I wanted to, but I did take a nap before this one because I am an old man, as you all know. Yeah, but like on a more serious note, and we experienced this sensation for sure 2 years ago, and there were moments when we had it last year, and I think it's back, and which is what made the announcing the comment from the ESPN2 announcing team so funny, is like there is something about this team and the way they're building this team right now, the way they're building this roster, that if you've been around for a long time and you're a little bit younger than me, but I'm sure you've put in your time. It is exciting and it is legit because this is now how many different summer leagues in a row where there's people you can look at and say, there's something to be excited about there. And guess what? A lot of these guys are, or pretty much all these guys are still on the team and doing good stuff. So I think it's a good time to be a Knicks fan. Chris Kasner, what's going on, Chris? Hunt needs a full contract and give Gene Montero that two-way. So I had a question in my DMs that I'm going to probably flip into an Ask Macri for the newsletter at some point, either this week or next week. The Knicks currently have 13 guys. And Jeremy and I were talking about this a little bit last night. 13 guys signed to the roster. They could sign 2 more guys and then have the two-way spots in addition to that. Now, it is certainly possible to convert Farron Hunt to a regular NBA contract. My suspicion would be that they will keep him on the two-way because it feels like a little late in the game to do the conversion. There are exceptions to every rule. We saw Alonzo Trier get converted from a two-way to a standard contract a couple of years ago. And Hunt is good, but I think the best thing for Hunt is to probably spend a year, like get as much playing time as possible, and he's going to get more playing time in Westchester. So, and if you're not on a two-way, that's the key thing. If you're not on a two-way, I mean, you can still get sent down and you can like play in G League games. It's not, you're allowed to do that. But I feel like on a two-way, it'll make it just a little bit easier for him to get that time. And like, we'll see what else happens with the roster. Who knows? It's not a crazy thought at all. I'm just kind of pushing back, playing devil's advocate. And then Montero, I like Montero. I feel like we haven't seen too much, but I like him. Kid's talented. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? The cross drive dunk by Sims, middle of the third quarter. Doubt he gets the green light regular season, but I love what it means for developing coordination and footwork. A couple of things on that. I don't know. And maybe this is going a step too far, but I think the fact that they signed Hartenstein is a sign that they are starting to potentially think about the center position in a different way moving forward. And I've referenced this before. Tibbs talked about Sims' playmaking last year and that being an area that he could grow. Shout out again. Fred Katz had a tweet tonight talking about how Tibbs has spoken about Jericho Sims' touch. Benji pointed out how he had like a little turnaround jumper that missed, but it looked good. It didn't like, here's the thing about Sims. Whatever you think about him, like, yes, he got called for the double dribble. Like, yes, he doesn't make every shot and like the whole thing. He doesn't look like sometimes you see 7-footers out there that try to do stuff that smaller guys do, and they just don't look natural. It looks like a fish out of water. He does not look like a fish out of water trying to do any of this stuff. And the thing that's tough to not reconcile, but like he's an older guy. He spent 4 years at Texas. So usually, and he got like, we got a good amount of time at Texas. So it's not like this is a guy who should be, I guess, a late bloomer. But look, everybody develops at their own pace. And credit to the Knicks. All credit to their scouting staff. Credit to whoever wanted to draft him. I think there was a report at one point that like Aller wanted to pick him maybe even like earlier in the second round. They got a guy. He's an NBA player. I think he will contribute to winning basketball at some point on this contract. Maybe even this year. We'll see. She needs to get on the court. Kevin Nanishevsky with one more. Thank you, Kevin. You're the man, dude. Salute to everyone else up. Seriously, take a bow. Or have a beer like I'm doing. As the Grimes Hive Prez, we got to get you a button for that. Grimes Hive President. We'll get it. We'll get like an officially made thing that you could wear on like the halftimes and town halls and whatnot. Weird to see him struggle from the line. That was weird. He missed 3 free throws in a row, including 2 on the same, obviously, same possession. Not concerned, but he wasn't great at free throws in college either. Yeah, I'm not worried about his shooting. I know you're not worried about his shooting either. Yeah, it was odd. It was just strange, and he was obviously mad at himself that he did that. I think the next step for Grimes as a shooter is obviously consistency, but because that's for every shooter. But and we saw it. There was a shot he got up. Nah, that wasn't really off movement. It was more like there was a contest and he put the ball back on the floor and then he put it back up. And I think he missed that shot. But we haven't really seen him shoot off movement yet. If that dude could ever learn how to shoot off movement, yeah, he becomes very hard to guard. And I'm not going to talk about this a lot, but like there was an article that came out for The Athletic earlier today in which the first tier of NBA players was released. I have not read it. I probably won't read it. Read it. I can't speak. It's 1:30 in the morning. I probably won't read it, but my understanding is it's not like a traditional ranking. I don't know how Partnow goes about. I think is it Partnow? Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's someone other than Partnow.
It was 100% Seth Partnow that John is currently referring to, a writer for The Athletic who put Quentin Grimes and Gary Payton Jr. in the same tier as RJ Barrett.
But here's the thing.
Continue it, Lash.
Here's the thing, though. Like, Grimes and RJ being in the same tier is reflective of that particular writer's the way he sees the game. And again, I'm not gonna. I have too much other shit to do. I'm not going to read it, but my assumption is it's going to go something along the lines of what would you rather have? An inefficient on-ball guy who could create, or a potentially very efficient two-way wing who doesn't do the creation stuff? And in his mind, those two things are somewhat similar. Look, we don't need to pit RJ and Grimes against each other. I'm happy the Knicks have both of them. Where the Knicks are at, they need both of them. They are two of the Knicks, without question, two of the Knicks' 5 most important assets. That goes without saying. So just be happy we have them both, I guess. We'll say. Ryan Wong, what's going on, my man? Thank you for the contribution, for staying up with us. Of course, things fall apart once Richard Jefferson took the court. KFS and Macri, you guys are some of the most genuine content creators out there. Thank you. Don't listen to those keyboard warriors. They live to see the world burn. Yeah, I don't. As long as we do right by you guys, I'm happy. And we have over 300 people watching again on a Tuesday at 1:30 in the morning. So I feel like we must be doing something half right. Yeah. Thank you for that. Lunas with another one. Commentary kept alluding to Grimes possibly starting. I mean, it keeps getting put out there, right? It's like someone's doing this whispering. I don't know what it is, but someone's doing this whispering. I said it with Jeremy last night. I'd be surprised at this point if he didn't start. And I think they might have to sell it to Fournier, but that's exciting. That's something we can all get excited about. And so let's see. Brunson's 25, RJ's 22, Grimes is whatever he is, 21 or 22. Mitch is 23, 24. I know I should know these ages. And then we don't have to talk about the other spot. But yeah, it's a lot of youth in the starting lineup. It's pretty cool. Robert Cross, finally. I was wondering when you were going to chime in, Robert. I've been waiting for this. First time, long time, John. Of course, Robert. Real tough to stay up late tonight and watch this loss here in San Diego. Oh, it's not late. It's 10:30 for you. Stop it. A nice sunset for once, though. Hashtag 53 wins. Man. 53. One of these years, it's going to happen. I'm glad you stuck with us, even though it's the wee hours there, Robert. Would have been nice to get the win, though. Thanks, as always, for the contribution. We have another one from Robert Cross. Is it fair and reasonable to say that never my friend Richard Jefferson ruined our summer league flow? If so, he's now banned. GMAC. GMAC, is Richard Jefferson banned from the pod?
Would we like to? So here, before I actually say that sentence, so Richard Jefferson is also a friend of Blue Wire, so we have to be political about this. For causing the Knicks to lose this summer league game, Richard Jefferson, you are banned from the Knicks Film School Podcast for the rest of summer league. How's that?
I think that's sufficient.
That's sufficient? Okay. Out of here. You're banned. And salute to the owner, okay? To the guy who runs things. Mr. Straight Shots himself. Okay.
I have to wonder, though, how much of I always wonder about this, though. How much do people in the league office, because obviously someone in the league office thought up this as an idea, right, to do tonight. They know James Dolan always sits courtside at Summer League for these games. They also know James Dolan occasionally gives Knicks PR directives of things to tweet out. One of those things, I would assume, I'm assuming, this is me assuming, is after the Richard Jefferson kerfuffle a couple of years ago when he's like, the Knicks offered me a contract, when Knicks PR then responded by tweeting, the Knicks never offered Richard Jefferson a contract. That was from Dolan.
Yes.
I'm assuming. So
it's just... Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's just, it's interesting that they had him ref the game in front of Dolan tonight.
The fact that they had him ref the 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time game that only Knicks fans would be up to watch. Because I get, like, there's probably like 17 Portland. I shouldn't say that. Portland has a fan base. Regardless,
they do.
Like they had Richard Jefferson do the Knicks game. They knew what they were doing.
They knew.
I do have a take, but it's not even like I'm agreeing with Benji on this. I actually do think there is something educational to a former player being a referee, and if you're gonna do it for the second quarter of a summer league game. There's just the added details that it's Richard Jefferson in a Knicks game that I think the rest of us are not very happy about. But
in front of James Dolan.
In front of James Dolan, exactly.
That's all.
So, we have one more super chat.
All right, great. Stay on for it. Stay on till the end. Yes. Lunas with one more. Thank you, Lunas, for all the contributions. Thank you, everybody, again, for watching, staying up with us. Still got Grimes behind IQ and Obi in terms of ranking our prospects, as I'm fighting off recency bias, but it's very hard. Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot in the wee hours here. What's your current ranking top 5 right now? Okay, top 5 of our prospects.
Is RJ still a prospect?
I think if you're on a rookie deal, you're a prospect.
Which he technically still is. Okay.
Well, he will be next year as well.
You know what I'm doing there though? Like, hasn't gotten his second contract.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you're saying not even been rookie max extended, RJ also qualifies. Even if he does get the rookie max extension, he also qualifies. RJ's one is my point. He's one.
He is one, and it's very clear that he is the most important player for this franchise. However, I will reference what friend of the pod, Zach Lowe, said when I asked him about New York's prospects and like how much would it shock him if someone else other than RJ superseded him as having like a, being a better NBA player. And I thought his response was like, it was a simple response, but it was spot on. It's like in the traditional, like, quote unquote, better, which is usually used to talk about someone who can do stuff with the ball in their hands. Like, yeah, RJ's the guy. That doesn't necessarily mean that when all is said and done, we're going to look back and be like, he contributed the most to winning basketball out of all of these guys. And from that perspective, it would not shock me if it was Quickly, if it was Grimes, if it was Obi. That said, RJ's number one. Man, so the fact that one of these guys has to be fourth, I'm gonna give a shout out to the Obi Hive and put Obi 2. Fair.
I would have Quickly too, but it's not like there's a gap between Quickly and Obi for me. I just like what Quickly can do with the ball. Obi I think needs a guard in order to help him be successful.
This is we should do an entire podcast on this because it is a very unfair conversation because yes, Obi does need a guard. At the same time, that dude, if he gets maybe this year with Jalen Brunson, he's a game-changing weapon in a way that I'm not sure either Grimes or Quickly can be as much as Obi can be if he hits his ceiling.
I 100% agree. I'm literally saying if I'm splitting hairs between Obi, Quickly, Grimes for 2, 3, and 4.
You know what the crazy thing is?
That would be it.
Here's the ranking. RJ, Obi, Quickly, Grimes, and yet if you ask me, it gave me True Serum, and which I guess I have already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, give me your safety rankings in terms of I know this guy, regardless of anything else, is going to contribute to a winning team, no matter what the roster construction is or any of that. The rankings might be reversed.
The RJ Hives can be mad at you, but I will somewhat agree, and I will understand why you're saying what you're saying, because what Quentin Grimes does as a tertiary complementary player to your better players fits better.
If he defends and he shoots and he can put the ball on the floor and make a play, he can play 20 minutes a night for any team in the league.
Yeah.
There are teams in the league that until for instance, Quickly, we're still waiting for the consistency with his shot. That's what he brings to the table. If that consistency is there, I could see teams being like, yeah, you know what? He's not good enough to be in our rotation right now. Same thing with Obi.
Shout out to moderator FM Lag. Why do you hate RJ, John?
He's number one for me. He is, in my opinion, he's one of the I think he's one of the 30 to 40 best trade assets in the league in terms of I don't think that there's 30 guys the Knicks would trade him for.
I know you don't listen to Simmons as much as you used to, but he and Russillo did a trade value.
I did not listen to it. I just saw something online about RJ and Herb Jones.
So Simmons has planted his flag on Herb Jones Island, and I got to give Russillo credit for campaigning for RJ Barrett. That no team, if the Pelicans and Knicks were on a conversation or on the phone call conversation tomorrow, and the Knicks, the Pelicans were like, we will give you Herb Jones for RJ Barrett, do the Knicks hang up faster? And Russillo was like, of course they do.
They fall over themselves laughing.
Yeah. And he made the point that we're making about Grimes, that Herb Jones is a nice player, but he's a complementary piece. He's not the main cog that runs your engine on a championship or even a playoff team. Best case scenario for RJ, he's the second best player on a good team. Herb Jones or Quentin Grimes is your fourth or fifth, but they're contributing on said team.
The floor outcome for RJ never progresses with his playmaking, never shoots off the dribble from behind the arc, never hones the mid-range game, continues to be inefficient around the rim, continues to have a middling free throw percentage around, just under 70%. In which case, that is not a guy that most teams in the league are going to want, especially at the salary he's going to get. They're just going to be like, no, we don't want it. If he progresses with his playmaking, gets a little bit better around the rim, gets any semblance of a perimeter game off the bounce, and could get just a little bit better, have the mid-range be a threat, he is a future all-star. 1-2-time all-star.
Yeah.
And if he hits the ceilings on all or almost all of those things, he's a guy we could be talking about as an all-NBA level player. So the gap between his ceiling, top 15 guy in the league, and his floor, not a top 100 guy in the league, is, in my estimation, by far larger than the gap of any other of these Knicks prospects.
I agree.
We're pretty sure we know what Grimes is going to be. Maybe the gap for Quickly is a little bit bigger because there's still that window. Like, could he be a starting point guard in the league? And then with Obi, it's roster dependent. So that's why it's like, to talk about any of these guys, it's just you can't have these conversations in a vacuum because they all relate to one another and they relate to other things regarding like how the Knicks build out their team.
Yeah, and it's why, like, I know I actually might have been out of pocket for a comment I made about Simmons during the free agency live stream, which we're working on ourselves. If you know, you know. But to close the loop on that trade value column, Simmons has done this thing lately where he equates how good or valuable a player is by could they play in the finals he just watched. And it's like, okay, so if a team already has Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, could you put them around them? If that's your only measurement, then that's the column. It's not a trade value column. It's a trade value if you have Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or other main pieces in place. The point you just made, what a lot of people have made, and honestly what Russillo made on the pod was like RJ would be the Jaylen Brown in this situation, which is why you have to evaluate it that way. Not could he play and be a contributor to a team already set in its foundation.
There is very little question to me that if you're talking about a Celtics team where they need a fifth guy, and that fifth guy could be a wing player, if it was the last 5 minutes and they were forced to pick between RJ, Obi, Quickly, or Grimes, they would pick Grimes.
Yeah.
And there was also zero question in my mind that if the Knicks were like, okay, there's an expansion draft tomorrow and we can only protect one player, there's obviously zero question they're protecting RJ.
Yeah.
So again, it's to have these conversations without any context is fruitless because it's just, I don't know, it doesn't have any what.
This is where I'll plug a Patreon pod that you and I will probably do soon because we're approaching the dog days of the summer, where John will list a top 50 or 60. And if you'd like to sign up, check the description in this episode on YouTube. And you could sign up for as little as $3 a month or $7 a month if you want access to the pod.
That is going to be painful for me in a good way. But
I'm telling you now, so you have like 2-3 weeks. Don't worry about it. Okay, last
3 weeks. I need like 2-3 months to prepare.
Nope, 3 weeks. I don't care if you got a wife and kids and responsibilities to deal with. This is now priority number one. I'm sorry, by the way, I didn't mean to refer to you that way. I apologize.
Wait, can I just ask a clarifying question right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm ranking this as that list. I'll probably start this soon on if I'm starting a team from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how the list should be made. If you're starting a team tomorrow,
not who am I putting around Jaylen Brown and Jason.
No, that shouldn't be. It should be the way in my opinion, those lists all should be. If you're an expansion team tomorrow and the league has 60 teams, and you're literally going, okay, team 1, the whole league's available. Take this player. Team 2. That's how I think the list should be made. Okay. Last one, and it's addressed to me. Robert Cross, GMAC, can you rank the members of KFS relative to how much man management temperature checks they require?
Who's the highest maintenance and who's the lowest maintenance?
Lowest maintenance. The lowest maintenance is Benji, although we've had some audio issues lately.
Oh, yeah, that's real.
The highest maintenance might be you, but it's like there's really not much high maintenance to it. There's just, I love you, John, an ineptitude with technology that comes into play that requires me to be helpful, which I really don't mind doing. It's quite literally my job. And then me, Jeremy, and Chris in that order in the middle.
As long as I have my fresh bowl of fruit in my trailer every morning, I don't ask for much.
I make sure it's there. Don't worry. Robert Cross once again because he can't get away. Robert Cross,
I love you, Robert. You're the best.
Sign up for the KFS Patreon and show your loyalty for the NYK Twitter Wars or take a hike. Thank you, Robert. And if you do want to be generous and sign up for Patreon, it's in the link below. We have a lot of fun content that we've already set out a plan for this summer. I think you guys will all enjoy it. And then Brandon Guest with comment. Here, you go ahead and read this one.
This is a word, realisticness. Realisticness aside, what is a lineup you would be most interested to see on the court together? I got IQ, RJ, Cam, Obi, and Sims.
We never said who's fifth on that list, by the way.
I
would put Cam 5.
By default.
Yeah. Cam 5.
Actually,
there's this wild card of Sims and Deuce.
Hold on. No.
Oh, you have to stay on brand. Why do you hate Cam Reddish?
Cam high? You
haven't traded him yet this pod. I'm proud of you.
I really like Sims. Keep this question up. I like Sims a lot. No. Cam. There's still enough there for Cam, even if I don't think the team is a believer, which is why I think he will be moved at some point. But Cam's fourth for me. And really, again, if you tell me Cam Reddish is the best of all of these players 5 years from now, okay, totally believable. Okay, who's the lineup that I want to see?
IQ, RJ, Cam, Obi, Sims.
I mean,
Obi and Sims are in that 5 I want to see. I'll start there.
I want to see the guy that we are about to pay, because it still hasn't become official, about to pay $100 million. Although that could refer to Julius Randle because his extension hasn't kicked in yet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. So Brunson, I want to see. What do I want to see? I want to see Brunson in shooting. I want to see Brunson. I want to see Hartenstein.
Ooh.
I want to see Brunson, Hartenstein, Obi, and give me 2 smart shooters who could defend. Grimes. Man, Cam's name did just pop into my head.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, it's a little small. No, let's do fine. We'll give some love to the Cam hive. So Brunson, Grimes, Cam, Obi, Hartenstein.
I dig it.
And
why do you hate RJ Barrett?
I love RJ Barrett.
It's an impossible question to answer without offending a hive.
I do exactly. I do wonder how RJ and Brunson will be able to complement one
another. It's because I'm not as anti-Julius as some, but there's a black hole at the power forward position that needs the ball.
But it's
why Brunson and RJ is fascinating, like you said.
I like those two in particular. How can they make each other better? Mm-hmm. And I think we have to see that.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Literally swap Cam out for Grimes, and that's my 5.
I had Grimes. Oh no,
I'm saying my 5. Yeah, IQ, RJ, Grimes, Obi, Sims.
Man, Mitch not getting any love here.
There's a theme there.
Is he old hat already?
It's not that he's old hat. I know what I have in Mitchell Robinson. I think he does a lot of things well. Actually, what we're seeing in the athleticism from Sims and the high flying ability of him and Obi Toppin and the lob city that could be created. I think we saw how well RJ worked well with the second unit. We saw how well IQ worked well with Obi down the stretch. You add a second, rim runner like Sims, that could be fun. This is more just interested to see, not like what I think would win a game every night.
But it's amazing how and this is why people love Cam so much, or the idea of Cam so much, because throwing Cam as a theoretical shooter, defender with size, and a guy who could put the ball on the floor again with size and make plays and the whole thing. Like that theoretical guy unlocks so much shit in so many different lineups that the Knicks could want to put out there. We just don't know if they'll get to see it.
Yeah, I think one thing that has been taken out of context is when we discuss trading Cam, I really don't think it's as much of a knock on him as people think. It's really just what based on what we've heard from, and when I say we, I mean like you guys who are way more plugged in than I have, what the organization feels about Cam.
But it's the fact that he's still very inconsistent. He needs more time and room to grow.
Which there may be a team out there that gives him time and room to grow on the court, which is why we all suggest, yeah, he'll probably get moved to a team that's willing to give him minutes rather than working out all your developmental growing pains that still exist in year 4 in a bench role or in Terrytown.
What we don't know is attitude and work ethic, because if his attitude is pristine and his work ethic is top notch, then it would be ridiculous to trade him regardless of how consistent he was right now, because those two things are in place. But because those two things, and I'm not suggesting that either of those are bad, I'm just saying that we don't know. It's like we've heard glowing reviews about Grimes in those areas, and Quickly in those areas, and Obi in those areas, and RJ to a certain extent in those areas. Like, we just don't know with Cam. So if those things are not where the Knicks would like them to be, then it's an additional wrinkle that you have to deal with, where you're not just looking at the talent. You're making a guesstimation as to how likely it is that the talent ever translates.
Is this the latest we've had a conversation, John?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
It's probably. I know we've been up at the same time, me editing, you writing. I don't think we've ever been live this late, though.
No, probably not. I have to write a newsletter right now. So.
Oh my God. I have to edit this pod right now. So
on that note, do we have any other super chats? Or we got
we are all good. Thank you, everybody. Over 300 people still watching live. You all are amazing. And I'll just shout out Rich McLeod, who stayed up with us tonight, as well as Kevin Danishevsky, who stayed up with us to a point. Both of them, well, obviously Rich hosted it with me, the playback watch party that we did. Our first Mets win that we got to watch during one of these watch parties. Shout out to the New York Metropolitans for easing so many of my worries going into tonight. And then shout out to Kevin, who was contributing, watching with us the entire night. If you're a Mets fan and you want to join us, we do these once a week, and it's a lot of fun. And you get to see me panic during a tense 8th inning. As far as any KFS programming notes, Jeremy is doing an episode and a live stream of Cap Rules Everything Around Me, Cream, on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And then we've got Benji on the pod Thursday morning before what may end up being the final Summer League game on Thursday night. So stay tuned. We've got plenty of content on the way.
Giddy up. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Have a good rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.